Hello, welcome to the Caffeinated Cast-Ons YouTube channel. My name is Therese, also known as Caffeinated Cast-Ons. Welcome! If you are new, this is my YouTube channel where I talk about my knitting. I'm a North Texas-based knitter, and I take you through my projects. Think of this as a video version of Ravelry project pages. So we'll talk patterns, needles, modifications, thoughts in general. It's a pretty relaxed time over here. And then I'm caffeinated. So pull up a chair, get your project, knit, crochet, whatever it is. I have some cold brew today and we'll sit and chat. You can find me on Instagram as @caffeinatedcastons. I've got my Ravelry project pages linked down below. Let's connect and let's talk projects. So caffeinated of choice is some cold brew. I like the Stoke cold brew. This one I believe is the, gosh, I don't know, bold and smooth, non-sweet, unsweet. And then I have some Chobani cookie dough creamer in there. It tastes really good. And then I have that with my No Sweat Cup Cozy, I believe it's called. There's Piper making her appearance for her people. Feel free to subscribe if you want more corgi content. If you have not realized, I do have a finished object this week and I am wearing it. So this is my Willa Tee. It's stand up. This is a pattern by This Bird Knits and it's finished. This is my Q2 project of the year. So if you are new or not caught up, I had a goal this year, or I have a goal this year, that I'm going to knit one garment a quarter. So just like a wearable top for myself. Q1 was my Cumulus blouse by Petite Knit. Q2 is the Willa Tee by This Bird Knits. I will get into what my plans are for Q3 a little bit later in this video. But right now, let's talk Willa Tee. I knitted this, I want to say on a US size 8 needle, if I am not mistaken, which I believe is what the pattern calls for. I believe it calls for a US size 7 and a size 8. 7 for the collar, ribbing, and anything like those finishing things, but I just went with the size 8, which I like. I am happy with. I probably would have gotten a little bit different fit if I went up with a size 9. Typically I do size up in needle size with patterns just because I am a bit of a tighter knitter. Yeah, so let's talk modifications. Well, no, let me talk about the yarn first. Where's my yarn? So I knit this with 2 skeins of yarn from A Chick That Knits, and this is actually a signed pooling yarn, and you can see it kind of did pool into this self-striping type thing, but what it was intended for is that whenever you knit a certain stitch, the pink and green together looked, it formed some sort of bobble / floral stitch that looked like a flower blossom. I was originally going to knit that in a shawl pattern. I believe it was the Calico. Is that by Dawn Barker? I can't recall. Anyways, I pivoted. Instead of knitting the shawl, I wanted to knit a top that was much more airy because it is a fingering weight yarn that I could wear in this Texas heat. So this is a sign pulling yarn on the colorway Turtle Dove, and it is on the Deluxe Sock base, which is 85% superwash, extra fine merino, and 15% nylon. So I had 2 skeins of that. And with that, I was able to knit this short sleeve top. I did have some left over. I have about 30 grams, 35, maybe a little bit less, grams left over. And it went really far. I knew I wanted the sleeves to be short. I believe my sleeves are shorter than what the pattern called for. I just did it to my liking. I knew I wanted it shorter sleeve. And then I believe I knit about the length of the top. I just kept trying it on. The one modification that I did do is I did a split hem instead of one continuous hem. And so I put the front stitches on hold, knit a little bit longer in the back, and then did the 1x1 hem, and then finished the front. The split hem was the biggest modification that I did. Other than that, I just knit until I liked the length and then finished the sleeves. Oh, I did not do the garter ridge for the sleeves. I think it had you knit a certain amount of inches and then do like a garter ridge finish instead of like a ribbed cuff. I just knit, I want to say 7 rounds, like whenever I picked back up the sleeves, and then did a regular bind off. I will say I did mean to aggressively or block the armholes a bit more aggressively. It's not tight, but I would say it's got 0 ease, no positive ease, not necessarily any negative ease, but it sits just right on my arm. Like I can stretch it a bit, like it's not uncomfortable. I'll definitely wear it, but I just notice the sleeves a bit more, but I should be fine. No complaints there. And then whenever I wash it, I could always re-block that or even take a steamer to this and block it out a little bit more, but I'm not too concerned there. But I am very happy with how it turned out. Oh, and I made the size 2 in the pattern. And I would say typically in shirts, I'm making like a large, like any like store-bought t-shirts. I like a large. And I think a size 2 worked great. And so yeah, a nice 2 skein project for myself. That's all for finished objects. And I do have 2 sock whips to talk about. My first sock whip is in this cute little camping theme bag. And I have a pair of vanilla socks that I'm working on 9-inch circulars. Let's see. Sock 1, last week I was here where this little corgi charm is, and so I've knit just a few rounds because I decided how long I wanted to make the leg. I'm working these cuff down. Isn't that yarn so fun? I love how it's coming out. And that's the cake that I am pulling from. Sock 2, I believe I showed this last week, and I was just about to finish the cuff, and my goal was to finish the cuff and essentially decide how long I wanted the legs on both of these socks and get them through the leg. And so I did that. I finished, the cuff. So here is where I was, this little progress keeper. And then the leg is finished. I'm doing 35 rounds for a leg. And then now both of these are ready to start the heel flap and gusset. These are a 9-inch circular I'm working these on, size US 1. And the pattern recipe I am following is 9-inch circulars, or no, vanilla socks on 9-inch circulars by Kayla from the Crazy Sock Lady. She has a great YouTube tutorial series on knitting socks in multiple different methods if you are new to knitting socks. I learned how to knit socks through a combination of her videos and the Knitty Natty's videos for knitting socks. Knitty Natty takes you through, I believe, only the magic loop method. If she has other methods, I'm not familiar with those videos. I just didn't watch them. But I've kind of combined those 2 different creators' videos to learn how to knit socks. So her pattern is just what I'm referencing. I've actually never read her 9-inch circular vanilla pattern because I already knew how to knit the elements. But that's just the one I link because that's the one I know too. But super great. This yarn is from West 7th Wool, which is a Texas brand. And this is on their Hunter's sock base, which is 70% superwash merino and 30% nylon. And it is a fingering weight. And the colorway is rodeo. So made great progress on these. I'm actually surprised that I ended up meeting the goal and getting these to where they were both ready for the heel flap and gusset, because I had just put my head down and was like, I'm not going to work on my socks until I finish my Willa Tee, and I'm very pleased. I still pretty much met all my goals that I set for last week. Sock whip number 2 is in a bag from By the Bay Bag Co. She is no longer in the business of selling bags, but she does teach a sewing course, which I believe she takes you through how to make the bag. But I am knitting a pair of toe-up socks. And this is what we've got so far. Here is my progress keeper, where I was the last time I showed these last week, and I have finished the foot. Couple notes on this. Well, actually, no, let me talk about the yarn and then I'll talk about my notes on this sock. So these are the 2 yarns that I am using to knit this sock. The main color here is a Madeline Tosh, and this is on the Twist Light base, and it is called Bird is the Word. And that is a 75-25 superwash nylon blend. And then the contrast is Euphoria Knits. And this is a 20 gram mini, which is an 85-15 superwash nylon blend on the colorway Deep Navy. So this will be the toe and a pop of color on the cuff. And then this is just going to be the main sock. Okay, so a couple notes on the sock. Typically, I have been a cuff down person, and I like it for multiple reasons. One, I like that I can do a German twisted cast on for the cuff. Again, I mentioned I am a bit of a tighter knitter, so I like that I can add that extra stretch there. And I like doing the heel flap and gusset heel because I feel like that fits my foot better. However, on the last couple of socks that I've knit and worn, I've noticed that they fit a little bit more slouchy. And so I was like, I wonder if my tension gauge has changed. And so I thought I would knit a toe up sock. That way I can really measure where it's hitting on my foot to see if it has changed, rather than trying to guess and check going cuff down, especially since with cuff down, I'm typically knitting on 9-inch circulars. Not really the easiest to try it on unless you put it on waste yarn or magic loop needles. So I'm knitting these toe up on a 32-inch cable so I can use the magic loop method. What I have found so far is that yes, my gauge has changed. My socks are definitely wider than they used to be. I currently knit on a 64 stitch count, which is about a size medium, I think, in most sock patterns. And I'm wondering if I need to go down. I believe like 4 stitches is what you need to go down by or something, or go by 2. I don't know. I need to look that part up. But typically in the feet of my socks, I have been knitting 65 stitches. Tried this one on and we're at 60 stitches, and it hits like my ankle ball, which is about like where you want to start your heel. Once the foot hits there, you want to start your heel. And so my gauge has definitely loosened up some. I need to measure again and kind of see how many stitches per inch I am getting this way and this way. I'm very curious, just because like, yeah, this even looks big to me. And so I know this could depend on the yarn, on the day. It really does vary, but I like my socks to be something mindless that I don't have to think about or look reference a pattern, especially since I'm cuffed down in 9-inch circulars. I don't want to have to keep trying it on all the time. So I don't know. I'm just trying to see what my counts are and go based off that. And it's been very interesting as I've gone along. This is ready for the heel. And for my toe up socks, I do a fish lips kiss heel because I don't think there's a way to do a heel flap and gusset in reverse, like from toe up instead of cuff down. If there is, let me know. I'd be very curious, but I don't know if I really want to learn. But those are the two different types of heels that I do. But yeah, this is ready for the fish lips kiss heel. It is going to be in the main color. Yeah, so that is my sock. I'm only working this one at a time. I didn't want to work two at a time. One, I was too lazy to split the cake. And two, I knew since I'm really paying attention close to my counts on this, I didn't want to be working both at the same time. It's just like another factor in things. I really wanted to give it my full attention. So that is what we have so far. I love the speckles and how they go with this yarn. So fun. Those are the only two whips that I have going right now. Hopefully, let's talk about goals for next week. Well, I guess for this week, this upcoming week. So I want to get through the gusset on my cuff down socks. So not necessarily finish the gusset decreases, but just get to the point where I'm working the gusset. And then on my toe up socks, I would like to finish the heel. And I believe those are both very doable within the upcoming week. I could probably even go past that realistically. But June is almost over. I forgot to say what day it was again. It is Sunday, June 22nd. June is almost over, and therefore Q2 is almost over. So it is, I could start my Q3 project. I don't know when I'm going to start. I don't know if I'm going to wait till June ends and actually start maybe on July 1 as like a Q3 cast on, or if I'll go ahead and cast on now. But I went ahead and wrote down, and my goals for this week is to cast on my Q3 project, which is the Skyline Tee by Tori Yu, I believe. So I have yarn for it. I've shown it in a previous episode. It is, I'll have to see if I have a picture, but I'll pop it up here. But it is the plucky knitter yarn and in this beautiful purple. And I plan on making the Skyline Tee in that yarn. And that'll be my Q3 project. So July, August, September. The goal, so since Fiberfest falls in the middle or towards the end of Q3, like the middle of the month, the last month in Q3, September, I don't know if I want to have the goal to finish it by Fiberfest or just relax and just let it be finished at the end of Q3. We'll see. But you may see that project be cast on next time. Maybe I'll make it a goal to swatch this week. Maybe that will be it. Don't know for sure, but so maybe I'll swatch this week for that project and see what that does. Typically I don't swatch, but I feel like my gauge is changing so much, so I might go ahead and swatch, especially because with the project, I think you do the shoulders first, and it's a bit of a different construction than a typical shirt, so I don't know, we'll see. So maybe I'll swatch. Speaking of DFW Fiberfest, it is coming up in a couple of months, I feel like, because we're almost done with June, so July, August, September, 3 months away. DFW Fiberfest is September 19th through the 21st, and it's the 20th anniversary this year, so I'm excited to see if they do anything big and special this year, with it being like another or I guess a more milestone anniversary. So excited for that. If you are unfamiliar with DFW Fiberfest, it is an indoor convention, which I appreciate. And it's just right outside of Dallas, Texas. And it's great. I have fun every time. I've been 3, 4 every time. I've been like 4 years in a row, and it's really fun. Yeah, so it's just great to be in one place with a bunch of other makers, knitters, crocheters, other crafters. They have classes. A lot of their classes are already sold out this year. I personally am not taking any classes this year, but I just look forward to shopping with the vendors and getting to sit and knit with people, going out to lunch, dinner. It's a fun time. So looking forward to that. What else? I think that's it for everything knit yarn wise. Reading, watching, and listening. So I did finish reading Me Before You, and it was good. Like I said, I've already seen the movie, so I know what happens. The book had some different details, but overall, same thing. So finished that book. I did not cry just because I already knew what was gonna happen. But the other one, I believe it's Me After You, because I think there's 3 in the series. So I need to look and see if that's available from my library to borrow. And then currently reading Delicate Condition by Danielle Valentine. If you're an American Horror Story fan, this was it the most recent season? I can't remember because it's been a while since I've watched any of the episodes, but I did watch this season that is based off this book. It's one where Emma Roberts is an actress and is going to have a baby. Yeah, so close to reading this. I've been zooming through it pretty quickly. I will say there are some trigger warnings at the beginning of this book, so look into those trigger warnings before you read, because I will say it is not for everyone. Just saying. So that's what I'm reading right now. Watching Criminal Minds. I am in season 12 now, I believe, out of 15 seasons. So yeah, still going strong on binge watching that. I picked up One Tree Hill again. One Tree Hill is my absolute favorite show. Like, you can pry that teen drama from my hands, okay? I love it. I don't care. I've seen it at least a dozen times all the way through from beginning to end. Right now, so I had stopped watching because it used to be pretty much I would rewatch it like every year. It would just be on an endless loop. As soon as I finished the series, I would start it back over. My least favorite season is probably season 2. And I just picked it back up. So I'm like half paying attention to the episodes just because it's not my favorite. But I started watching that again this week. And then listening. I love the music in One Tree Hill. And so I started listening to the soundtrack again. So I have a playlist on Spotify, which is all the songs that I could find. I know there's some I'm missing. But it's just songs from One Tree Hill that they play throughout the episodes. So yeah, that's what I'm currently listening to right now. Just teen angst over here, but not a teen. I think that's everything knit-wise and yarn talk. I am going to wrap up 3 Simple Joys because I do have plans a little bit later this afternoon, and I want to relax a little bit before I go. And I don't know if I'm going to be knitting during the plans, and I'll say what it is in a second. So I need to kind of get my sock knitting in a good place where it can be a little bit more mindless, because they're both ready for the heel, and it's like, okay, anyways, 3 Simple Joys. If you're new, 3 Simple Joys each week, I just talk about little random whatever things that have been bringing me joy the past week. Just something to get me in a better headspace. Simple joy number 1 is girls' game night. My friend invited me to a girls' game night, which we don't play. Sorry, this straw is like clinking. I typically don't play a lot of board games, but it was super fun. Everyone brought a board game and a snack, and we just went over to my friend's that was hosting it, and I had a good time. Stayed up late. I'm not really out late a whole lot, but it was nice just to relax and have a girls' night. Got to talk and play a game, and it was super fun. Simple joy number 2 actually hasn't happened yet, but today I'm going to the movies with some friends, and I'm excited about that. We are going to go see The Materialists. I've heard good things. I've seen it's gotten some pretty good reviews, so excited for that. And I love movie theater popcorn. And so I'll eat like a whole bucket. But that's why I wanted to get my yarn in a good place, because I don't know if I'm going to knit in the movies or not. I've never knit in the movies before, but I'm not sure how crowded it's going to be. But I'm going to bring my knitting with me just in case in my bag, especially if we hang out afterwards. But a heel is not an ideal place to be knitting in the dark. So I at least like to get it to the mindless, like straight stockinette part. So we'll see about that. And then simple joy number 3 has been lifting weights. I started lifting weights again. Granted, it's like 5, 8, 10 pounds. I started doing like some arm workouts just because I want to be strong. I do have a toddler and he likes to be picked up, and I want to make sure I'm nice and strong for that. So lifting weights, it's been very humbling, let me tell you. But yeah, it's just, it's been a thing that I've been enjoying this past week. All right, that is all I have for you this week. Thank you so much for coming back for another episode of Caffeinated Cast-Ons. I hope you have a good week. That's all I've got. I don't know what else to say. Piper says goodbye. Can you say bye, Piper? So majestic. All right, friends. Until next time, stay caffeinated.